This is Wednesday, May 17th. If we'll all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Lori, roll call.
Commissioner Katnick.
Commissioner Katnick is absent due to the care of his wife.
Yes. Commissioner Hood.
Present.
Commissioner Prince.
Yeah.
Attorney Clint Smith.
Present.
Deputy Clerk to the Board, Lori Bistido.
Okay, thank you. Any amendments to the agenda?
I do not have any.
Okay, I do not have any either. So let's go to audience introduction. Jax?
Jackie Bubis for the Sentinel.
Remediati, Administrative Assistant to the Board.
Courtney Davenport, Wetmore.
Nan Davenport, Wetmore.
Bruce Spotter, Wetmore. John Spotter, Wetmore.
Ralph Hood, Pennsylvania.
Tony Surfling, H.E. Whitlock. Mickey Bauman, H.E. Whitlock.
Oliver Gray, Wetmore.
Nancy Cruz, Wetmore.
Rose Snyder-Bottom, Wetmore.
Steve Hayward, Wetmore.
Anthony Eward, Wetmore.
Carol Leslie, Rural Westfield. Charles Bogle, Rural West County. Shadow Violet, Sheriff.
Thank you. Okay. First on the agenda is approval of various dates of minutes. So we'll do these by date, Jay, one at a time.
I reviewed the minutes for April 28th, found them to be complete and accurate. I move that we accept the minutes as written.
Okay, I also reviewed them and did not see any changes, so I will second that motion. Any other discussion? Call for the vote.
Aye.
Aye. Next is May 2nd.
I read May 2nd. I thought it was complete and accurate, and I'm going to say that on all of them because they're all very well done. I move that we accept the minutes for May 2nd.
Okay, I will second that motion as they are stated. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye. I move that we accept the minutes for May 3rd as written. I thought they were complete and accurate.
Okay. Any other discussion? I will second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I move that we accept the minutes for May 4th. I thought they were complete and accurate.
I actually have a question that we're going to need to clarify on May 4th and May 5th, Jay, on the second page. The last item states weed control intergovernmental agreement. We had a motion and it was carried unanimously, but then we're looking at that same motion on May 10th under old and new business. For some reason, it was done again.
Yeah, I noticed that. And it was done twice.
It was done twice, so
Okay, so we
I
have to
think
kill twice as many weeds now?
now, I would say that we probably would need to amend May 10th to disregard that second time since we did it the first time on May 4th.
Well, if it's in the minutes, you probably just leave it. It probably doesn't make a difference.
Did we actually have a signed one for both dates?
That's what we have to look at.
Yeah.
Because the second
think
one
the
was
second
after
one
we
was
got from
signed.
the attorney,
Yeah.
the county attorney for Fremont County, that's why I
Yeah.
submitted that one.
That might
So
be.
so the May 10th one was submitted. That's
The
what
May
you're saying.
10th was the actual IGA. I think the first one we agreed to do it, but I'm not sure we had a final form.
Right, yeah. So maybe it should have been
So the
A
one that
motion
was
to
signed
sign
on May
it.
10th should be the controlling document. That's the one you sent to the Fremont County Attorney.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Well, my concern would be that we did make a motion and it was approved, so it probably, in my opinion, should probably stay in the minutes for the May 4th also.
Yes, it needs to stay in the minutes. We can
Okay.
just, I think the clarification we made, if you want to make a motion, so there's no confusion, that the one that was approved and signed on May 10th is the controlling agreement.
Okay,
So why don't we approve May 9th, May 4th, and I'll make that motion on the 10th.
okay.
Thank you.
So it's my recollection, you made the motion to approve the minutes for May 4th. Okay, I will now second that motion. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
I make a motion that we approve the minutes for May 10th, as written with the caveat that the We Control Intergovernmental Agreement on May 10th be the controlling document, as opposed to the one on May 4th.
okay, I will second that motion as stated. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're going to move to public comment. Do we have any public comment from our citizens? Quiet group this morning. Okay. We'll move on to commissioner items. Jay?
Yeah, it's just been a little over a week since our last meeting. We attended several, I attended, and Donna was present also, at least at both of them, economic development meetings that were taking place. There's a significant study going on right now to help the county figure out what's the best way for economic development. Maybe Charles, you can really kind of help me with this, but we're working towards how can we keep what we have, maintain the integrity of our county, but also look at how we're going to manage growth, which is inevitable, and make sure that we don't have casinos and hotels and all those things that we, at least at this point, don't want. Charles, is there anything you'd like to add?
We will expect a report from the state in about a month, their findings and suggestions, and from that point on, we'll have some additional local meetings, but to pick the items amongst those that they suggest. And this is a program where we'll report to the state, the Office of Economic Development and International Trade, at least over the next 2 years.
Thank you, Charles. That's all I have, Madam Chair.
Okay. I just want to interject. Charles, I thought that the group that provided that facilitation was excellent, and I know I enjoyed the dinner on Wednesday evening and then sitting as a group with the government officials. So I hope that you felt good about that whole process, and I know the people that were in attendance and also contributed, we got a lot of good feedback from
I
them.
agree with that.
Okay. From our last official meeting, I had mentioned that I was going to contact Lisa Rowe with regards to the underfunded courthouse. And she and I have had a discussion, and she doesn't have the authority to say that we can spend the remaining $145,000 that's out there. So she has a call into the gentleman that actually makes that call, and I followed up with her yesterday, and she said she was going to officially track him down because he had not responded. I just want to say in regards to this building, I know Jay gave a nice overview. I'm finding it very frustrating working with CenturyLink. It's been about 6 weeks trying to get the service down here. Just an FYI, The original person that I was talking to is no longer with them. Then we had to find the next person to work with, and it had been since our last meeting. I thought I was making progress and followed up for this meeting today and yesterday. That person still did not have the information, and all we're trying to do is hook up our DSL here and those additional phone lines, and it is very, very frustrating.
Who are you talking to, though? Because unfortunately, I have a lot of experience with essentially the new dispatch center.
The one that I was referred to, his last name is Stein. I think it's Michael Stein. I have his paperwork. But yesterday, he was even passing the buck on to another person named Mario. Do you know a Mario?
No, but Wes Horn is like the regional director, and I don't even talk to anybody below him because he don't get anywhere.
Okay, well, I'm going to say that because they were supposed to call me back yesterday morning after my phone call.
Yeah, you won't get told.
No, so maybe I can get that contact information. But it doesn't take 6 weeks to get phone lines in here, okay? And that's where we are. Also, an update on where we are with our extension office and our 4-H office. Today, I have good news that Sarah Shields and Beverly Gortz are on their way to Fort Collins for 4-H training. So that's real good news. They will be back Friday afternoon. And for the record, we are in process working with CSU. Clint has done a great job in communication with CSU's lawyer. We actually had to change description for what Sarah's interim title would be. But I'm happy to say that Beverly Gertz actually started on Monday with the county. That office is not officially open, so she's in there pretty much trying to clean up what was left behind from when she left us in December. So it's all good news, and just know that there is a process that has to happen. So we are still in process. So after this training occurs, hopefully we are going to get the recognition of being out of suspension in 4-H for our county. But just know that both Sarah and Beverly have a big heart, and what's in mind is getting our kids through our county fair. So we're moving forward in that regard.
Can I make a comment, please? I would just like to go on the record and again thank Mr. Smith and Commissioner Hood for the diligence they did in getting this done. It was not an easy task. Working as a team with CSU, it's looking very, very good. So I'd just like to commend both of you publicly for the excellent work you did.
Thank you. Another commissioner item is our commissioners, along with Donna Hobby, our HR person, our HR director. We've been working diligently through work sessions to get our employee personnel policy and evaluations and job descriptions up to date. And I am waiting on Dennis Hunt, who is the manager that we worked with in a work session, to give us some dates coming up here in the next couple of weeks before we go into the second week of June. We will be announcing a work session that will involve the elected officials and our county commissioners reviewing our new policy book and the items that I just stated. And then we're also going to, while he is present, we will come up with a date in July to begin the training on budgeting. So he is the gentleman from CTSI, which is Colorado State Technologies Inc., Services Technology Inc., and he is the professional that can help train us so that we can prepare and to do our best for our citizens and listening through the sessions in October. So he will be training us sometime. That will happen in July, so we're going to set that date for July. Okay. Moving on, Clint, to attorney items.
I just wanted to state that working with Mr. Nobles from the CSU Extension Service and Gene Loacki, who's the director of the 4-H program, they were very cooperative and very helpful. They were not trying to thwart us at all with our 4-H program. It was when our office manager for 4-H left abruptly, they didn't have any choice but to temporarily suspend the program, but they were on the same page. They wanted to get 4-H reinstated as quickly as possible, and I would anticipate that the suspension will be lifted as soon as Beverly and Sarah finish their training on Friday. So everything should be back on track and good to go. And one other thing, and this probably should be brought up under old business. On May 10th, the board passed a resolution 17-10, that created the 2 interim positions that Sarah and Beverly are going to be filling for 4-H. And on Friday, I talked to the attorney for CSU Extension. He wanted the job titles, just the titles, not anything else, changed a little bit. So I have prepared an amended resolution, and I would suggest we bring that up under old business. And I don't know whether you have copies yet or not, but okay. And if that meets with your approval, just adopt those job titles for the 2 positions. And then we have independent contractor agreements that will be signed by both of those individuals. That's all I have to report.
Thank you, Clint. Okay. Do we have any reason to go into executive session?
I do not.
Okay. All right, then we will proceed to new and old business. And why don't we just go right into adopting that resolution as old business? So I did read over it with those exceptions. So I would like to make a motion to amend the resolution that was stated creating the 2 interim positions for the Custer County government, naming the CSU Extension County Coordinator for 4-H, interim CSU Extension County Coordinator for 4-H, and also interim CSU Extension Office Manager for the Extension Office and for the 4-H program.
Before I second it, should we say it's Resolution 1710 for the record?
For the record, thank you.
I second the motion.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Next on our agenda is the high-speed internet. And Chuck, I don't know if you want to come to the table, but you're okay back there. Okay. Yeah, that's right. We did not. You guys came in. I saw a few people coming afterwards. I'm going to say, starting with you, Chuck, and then who's in the back row for the record that's here stated.
Chuck Leo, Custer County IT.
Susan Staggerwalt, resident.
Joe Johnston.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so where we are with the high-speed internet, we have received 3 quotes, one from CCOM, one from Hilltop Broadband, and one from CenturyLink. And over the last 2 months, we've kind of been going the rounds with what these vendors can provide. And several weeks ago, I had asked Chuck to go back and ask for some details on what was it going to take on their end if our power went down? What was it going to take on our end if our power went down? And I'm glad Shannon is here, and I know I saw Cindy out in the parking lot. I'm just not comfortable with what we have in writing, and what I'm going to suggest before we have our first meeting in June is a work session with these three providers face to face, and also our sheriff, our OEM director, and the three commissioners. I'm going to suggest that we do this like we did the session with the SIPA group. That way everybody is around the table, because these groups just are not giving me at least the confidence of really what their service is that they're going to provide us. Chuck, would you just like to state, I have that quote in front of us. I asked Chuck to get a quote on what a generator would cost to keep up our county building. Would you just like to expand on what you asked for?
The Challenger Electric, who's installed many generators, including the sheriff's office. Their initial quote is based on our power usage is, I think it was 43,000. And it would be propane fuel. It would need to have a diesel, which would have been much more expensive.
So looking at that figure, I kind of had a heart attack. And I know it's only one quote that we got, but just for conversation, because I knew we were having this meeting, I think it's imperative that the sheriff's office and OEM and how we want our county office building to function with regards to an emergency or a power outage. These three vendors are up and down with what they can support on their end. Most recently by CCOM, they're looking to put up a battery backup on the tower that would be listed for us as a service June 1. That's a battery backup for just 8 hours. The other two are offering something different.
Is that so it's solar charged, right?
He didn't say that. I don't know.
So just knowing CCOM, that's all their battery, all their towers are backed up. All of them are that. That's what I
Okay.
use at home.
Okay,
And even on the days when we didn't have power, my wife was able to work from home.
okay. Well, that's
Internet. I mean,
That's
it's-
good to know. Chuck, just looking at Hilltop in reviewing their proposal, down the bottom, they say what the customer is going to provide, but they also say additional charges will apply for installation of interior conduit or interduct systems, and they don't provide a cost there.
I don't think they need to do that because there's already fiber optic cable from CenturyLink to the port. All they got to do is follow that. So all the duct work and everything is already there.
Okay. It just would be nice to know that from them, so that, because what this says is that it's still additional. So what I'm saying is I'd like to get these players to the table and have them commit, because even talking, the quote was for installation of 50 megabits of fiber internet service. What happens if we don't get that? I myself, in talking to some of our citizens, with any one of these, are paying for a service and they're still not getting that. So what does that mean if the county gets into an agreement here, 1 or 3 years, and we aren't provided that service? So I want to know what the recourse is from the vendor. Has that been discussed at all, verbally?
No, I mean, they said that that's what they're going to provide. If they don't provide it, we
Then
can be
what?
like any other customer and take our business elsewhere. Hilltop and CenturyLink were 3-year contracts, but because we're a government, the funding has to be renewed every year. So if we're unhappy with them, we can break off the lease, no problem after.
Okay, so
CCOM was only an annual year.
CCOM was annual, and I guess I just want to clean it up, cross the Ts and dot the Is with this group. Any comments from you?
Trying to guarantee internet is almost impossible. It's like trying to guarantee electric. You just, I don't know that you can do it, you know? So now, whether it's 50 and 50, you know, the speed and stuff like that, yeah, we can go after them about that, because if they say they can provide it when it's operational, then they should be able to do that. Whether or not, you know, if stuff goes down or somebody cuts a cable in Penrose and we lose all of our
Sure.
internet,
Understood.
there's no guarantees there.
Understood, but I will still feel comfortable, and I hope along with my colleagues, I would like to hear how long the sheriff's office wants to stay up if we have an emergency. I need to know what emergency management needs to talk about. So it's just not when the electric goes down. It's how we're going to communicate. So I'm going to ask Chuck, I'll work with you on a list of questions that they can respond to if they can't be at a workshop, so at least we'll have those answers for the workshop. So Shannon, I'm just going to ask you to look at your calendar, and Chuck.
So in order to get those three entities here together at the same time, we're all going to have to adjust our schedules, because I'm telling you, getting the three of them together, if you can make it happen before July, I'll be shocked. CenturyLink does not work well with others. They just don't.
Well, then we have to consider that. But if somebody from their group, whoever provided this quote to us, Chuck, if they could answer the questions that we come up with, and I'm going to ask you to think about what you really want to see happen, Shannon, and I'll do the same with Cindy. And then we sit and we evaluate it. Okay.
My only, so I mean, talking to Chuck, you know, once the decision's made, we're still 6-8 weeks out from actually even realizing high-speed internet once we sign a contract with them. And I'm just, every day this goes on, my office is crippled by the internet that we have right now. When we're talking, because statutorily now we're required to upload all of our cases, evidence, everything into a system called e-discovery, which is then supplied to the prosecutor's office, and then in turn the public defender's office can access this. We're talking, it takes 16 hours to upload a case. And so while we're doing that, the rest of the internet in the building is virtually down, which then affects our records management system, the CAD system. Everything that the communication center is using is slowed down to a snail's pace because all of the data is being used to try to transfer this case. And so I just need some stinking high-speed internet.
That's all you want.
I need some help.
Okay.
And I understand we need to cross the T's and dot the I's to make sure we get what we pay for.
Okay.
I'm on board with that.
Okay.
But the longer we delay it,
Okay. Then I'm going to say, Chuck, let's try to initiate when they can meet. If they can't meet, then we'll get their answers for our workshop, and we'll try to schedule this within the next 2 weeks. Okay, but they should probably have, knowing how slow everybody's working, at least get those questions out to them and say that we need that response. Okay?
Yes, question. Considering the urgency of the sheriff's department, and I fully understand it, we at the courthouse have lived with slow internet for a long time, and it's not critical like it is with you. Chuck, is it possible, or Donna, is it possible to segregate the sheriff's department, get a separate quote, get theirs up and running, and then integrate the courthouse, even if it's a different contract, a different provider? I'm with the sheriff. That needs to get done ASAP.
Well, where we are is we actually have 4 DSL lines. 2 are at the sheriff's and 2 are at the courthouse.
Okay.
We're gonna, the suggestion is, from Chuck, is to keep one of those, okay, as a backup, so we get rid of the other 3.
Okay.
So just knowing how this works, I don't think it can be a partial.
That's fine.
The only solution to that one would be CCOM, because they would be the least expensive to install. In order for Hilltop or CenturyLink to bring fiber to the sheriff's office, it's going to cost us some money. Hilltop is about $4,000 to bring the fiber optic cables over the telephone poles into the courthouse, and then we can feed the sheriff's department. And then CenturyLink, actually CenturyLink is already in the courthouse. So, I mean, we could, if we went with them, we could feed it over to the sheriff's office. One other alternative that we can kind of do now, that I've discussed with Paula, and I think I've discussed with Shannon, is to try to tie at least the e-discovery machine into the courthouse internet, so that they could, the courthouse internet is not used very much during the evening, whereas the sheriff's office is 24/7 they're using the internet. And then she could start up her stuff at 4 or 5 o'clock or whatever in the evening and just let it cook overnight, and hopefully that would help a little bit. We're going to need to do some wiring and some cabling in order to pull that off, but that might be a short-term solution.
And another dilemma we have that Chuck and I talked about, so if we run the internet to the courthouse and then the courthouse feeds the sheriff's office, well, we have generator backup, we have emergency backup, OEM. In my office, we have a generator because we can't be without power. If we do that though, and power goes out because there's no backup generator at the courthouse, then the internet goes down. And so, I mean, I'm hopeful that we can run it to the sheriff's office, then to the courthouse, so that it runs through us, so we can still have internet. I mean, that would be
That's your wish.
that's my wish.
That's your wish.
And that's possible. That's possible. I don't know how much it would, CCOM probably wouldn't, the bid probably wouldn't change, because they would just change where they're putting the antenna.
Right.
Put up sheriff's courthouse. Hilltop, I don't know if we'd have to get a new quote from them to run the fiber optic to the sheriff's courthouse. The distance is not really that much different. It's pretty easy to do. I mean, there's poles and wires already there, so it would be pretty easy. So I don't imagine that the quote for installation for Hilltop. And CenturyLink, I don't know.
Okay. What I didn't see on Hilltop, I mean, CenturyLink's bid was like 8 pages long with very fine detail. The other 2 really didn't put in any kind of maintenance program if something happened on either end.
I've asked them for service level agreements, and I haven't, Hilltop says they're in the process of redoing theirs, and they would get it to me. I haven't heard back. I've called CCOM twice for it.
Okay, so I'm going to suggest maybe you and I can sit after this if you have the time, or I can talk to you later, and let's come up with those questions and just say we're at a deadline now. So you've been asking him, how long have you been asking for this? It's the same stuff with all these carriers. The service is not there. It's terrible. It's terrible.
If I may, I really would like to put some urgency under the sheriff's department. I understand the frustration. If I want to file a piece of paper at the courthouse next door to the commissioner's room, I have to e-file it. It is, and I do this at home because it's not a county thing, but it's very slow. I can just imagine what you're going through if you have a whole case to do. And this is kind of a new thing, so I think it's imperative that we get your office up to speed, even if it's first, and then we can worry about the rest of it. That's just my thought. But just a thought.
Shannon, are you traveling at all in the next couple days?
I'll be out of the office on Friday, but
Okay. Okay. All right.
and next week
I'll just give you a holler. Okay. All right. Any other comments on high-speed internet? Okay. Moving on to the SIPA streaming video proposal. Whoop, there you go.
We excuse ourselves.
Of course. You mean you don't want to sit through this? Thank you.
Thank you for coming in. I'd just like to make a comment that the whole purpose, one of the purposes of increasing the speed of our internet connection is so that we can put cameras in the commissioner's room so that anybody at any time could click it on and watch what's going on. We've had minimal discussion about this room, but certainly up above, we're very excited about putting streaming video in, but the internet speed is going to be a major issue. I'm sorry, I didn't take the thunder.
No, you're not taking my thunder. I think we had a great workshop with, we had members of economic development that sat through that work session along with the county commissioners. And we got to see the team players from SIPA and the other company that we would be working with, which is OMP. So they had given us a streaming video proposal. SIPA originally contacted us, Beth Justice, who is the sales and marketing manager. And for those that don't know what SIPA stands for, it's the Statewide Internet Portal Authority. So we actually met with everybody in session via video streaming. And we had asked a lot of questions. Everything was answered except for one, which we just got an answer on, and that was how much time did our county have to respond to this initial proposal. And the initial proposal was a $6,000 funding grant where SIPA would administrate $3,000 with a matching fund of $3,000. And that just includes the software and the setup. Equipment, depending on the various levels of degree on how sophisticated we want our video streaming to get, will vary. So what came back with that question was from Beth Justice, is she saying that she was just instructed that SIPA needs to allocate the project funds by the end of our fiscal year, and their fiscal year is June 30th. So they're asking our organization, the county, to take advantage of the opportunity and essentially, if we are serious about this, to move forward so that we can take advantage of the grant. So I would like to make the motion to move forward to support the video streaming, and that means that eventually, when this is all in place, that all of our constituents will be able to view what's happening here in a meeting if you can't be here, and you can also be interactive at the same time. So a lot of times people can't be here for various reasons. So we're looking forward to being the most transparent as we can be, and that's a big part of it. Yes?
Is the match something that county pays?
Yes, yes,
Donna,
yes.
you said interactive. You're planning to go ahead with that part of it?
We're going to look at what those costs are. Right now, I'm just making the motion to approve the support and the software package that they can provide until we sit and look at exactly what we want to do, looking at those costs of the equipment, Chuck. I know that's another level from what we talked about.
Call of order, you made a motion, I think we probably had a second.
Yes.
So I'll go ahead and second it so we
Okay.
can continue to
Thank
the
you.
discussion.
Thank you.
Well, I'd like to make a comment, if I may, before we, you up for discussion at this point? Okay. From Charles and Dale, we learned that the actual equipment is not enormously expensive. The cameras are a couple of $100 each. So the additional cost that we're looking at is really probably well under $1,000.
No,
No?
no, because you need a laptop and you need various cameras.
That's right. The cameras were under $500. I forgot we talked about a dedicated laptop for this. But it's really not we're not talking tens of thousands of dollars for this project. At this point, the cost of the county is $3,000 and plus the cost of the equipment. This is an excellent opportunity. We watched the streaming work because that's how we had our meeting, was streaming. And our internet was slow, so we had some choppiness and stuff like that. And our experts in that area, Dale and his cohorts, told us that once we had the fastest internet connection, this will go much faster. So I was very excited about it because you'll be able, if you're not able to sit there and watch it live, it's going to be saved so that if you were archived, thank you. So like if you worked during the day or you were out, whatever, and you want to see what happened at the meeting, you go back that evening and turn it, or anytime, and turn it on and watch the meeting. So everybody then, instead of, what do we have, maybe 40, 50 people in the audience, and there's 4,600 people in the county, anybody, or anywhere in the world, could turn it on and watch what we're up to and see that, what's happening. So I'm very supportive of it, and I'm ready to call the question if you're ready.
Okay, I just want to make an additional comment. With regards to the equipment can be anywhere from about $1,500 to $5,000. It just depends on how much we want to do with cameras. So the more cameras you have and the more sophisticated those cameras are, the more expensive that it would be. And I just want to say that I did run my campaign saying that I hope down the line we would do video streaming. So this is something that I would definitely support and help with funding.
I'll call the question.
Yep. So we've had our motion, we've had our second, we've had discussion. So I will call for the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. Okay. Next on the agenda is the transfer of funds for the airport.
I am unaware of what this is about.
This is something that Kelly knows about, and it is just normal bills for the airport, transferring it from the general fund to the airport fund. It's $9,400, and apparently they have some type of insurance billing that's within that.
It's an even $9,400?
Yes.
And is this just a reallocation of money in their budget from one allocation to another?
I can't answer that.
I think
I believe so.
It's normal operating business that we don't put all of the funds in their
Until they
accounts
need it.
Right.
at the beginning of the year, that when they need it, we
Okay.
transfer it.
I'm with you on that. Okay. I'll make a motion that we approve the transfer of funds within the airport budget as necessary, the $9,400.
Okay, I'll second that motion. All in favor? Aye.
Aye. Second.
Okay, motion passed. All right. Next on the list is broadband towers. Charles, do you want to join us?
As was briefed, the report proposes 6 towers based in the county that would effectively increase the broadband coverage by 100% from about 40% to about 80% of the area within the county, and also the potential of two of those towers to be able to host and improve our cellular service. So what we're proposing, based on that previous report, that if you would accept that report and authorize Custer County Economic Development to research the cost or the resources to fund the 6 towers, as well as finding host companies that will use the towers. And right now, it would appear that we're on a timeline that we could, probably the limiting thing is DOLA's input, which is an August date, and we think that's supportable such that we can have multiple grant requests to satisfy that timeline.
Okay, so just to make this clear, this action is not requiring the county for funding this project at this time. Is that correct?
Well, no obligation. I mean, this is research things basically, but economic development will do that at no cost to the county also.
Okay. In lieu of that, then I would like to propose a motion that the Custer County Board of County Commissioners accepts the report submitted at the conclusion of the Custer County Broadband Infrastructure Analysis Study, its findings and recommendations. Further, the Board of County Commissioners authorizes Custer County Economic Development Corporation to proceed with soliciting and assembling a financial package of the public and private funding to implement the study's 6-tower recommendation. This action does not authorize any county funding for this project. That's my motion.
I second that motion.
Any other discussion?
I appreciate the work you guys have done on this.
Okay, let's call for the vote. Aye.
Aye.
Passed. All right, next is Road and Bridge. Scraper rental. I don't see anybody from Road and Bridge.
I don't have them on my agenda.
Gary said he'd be here at 10.
So, okay.
We could move on to some of the staff reports.
OEM is not here.
I just called her to let her know if she said she'll be here in just a few minutes.
Okay. Then we'll move on to the treasurer's report, and she is not here, but we did receive her report.
I have a question. And I probably asked it before and I just forgot the answer, but there are 2 items on the monthly report. One is redemptions and one is MVL. Does anybody know what that is? And if you don't, it's okay, I'll ask.
MVL is 0, so
Is what?
MVL is 0,
It's
so I
0.
guess it doesn't really.
Okay, you're right, but it was on here. I was curious. Do we know what redemptions are?
Redemptions could be possibly some type of
I think it's probably
property.
redeeming property that's been sold for
Yes.
taxes.
Yes.
Because that's also at a 0 balance. Isn't it 0?
No, that's MVL is right below it. That's 0. I think.
Wait a minute.
Oh no. Yeah, MVL is 0. Redemptions is 3460.
3460.
And you can email Virginia, but she said to tell you that there's nothing unusual about this one compared to normal. So,
Okay.
but yeah, you could email her and ask her.
Okay. It was just a question of what those were. I saw they were basically the same as last quarter, but I hate to say I approve it without understanding it, but
We can table
since
it.
1-0,
You can table it till the next one.
okay.
Table it. What?
I don't know how soon she needs this signed. So.
I would say let's approve it, because I think the MVL is zeros over process. It's not really of an issue. Redemptions, I understand now what they are, so I don't have a problem approving it. In fact, I'll make a motion to approve the monthly report for the Custer County Treasurer from April through April 30th of 2017.
Is she just at the office and couldn't come down?
Susie is sick today, so she's alone at the office.
She is.
Virginia's sick?
Susie is sick today, so Virginia's alone in the office.
Oh,
today.
Virginia, yeah.
Yes.
I was just going to say, before I second it, if you really want that answer, we can delay it.
I kind of remember when Clint just mentioned it. I think I asked that question before. It
You're
rings a
okay?
bell now.
Okay.
I tell you, I earned my gray hair.
Okay. Then I'll second the motion as stated. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so we are just waiting for Gary Hyde and Cindy.
Okay. Okay.
Do you want to take
Different agenda.
I know she
Mr.
handed
Commissioner,
me this
if
today.
you don't mind, I'll
This
make
is-
a couple of comments about something Bob probably, or Mr. Katnick would have probably talked about. So as everybody knows, the rains that we've had recently, so 387, if anybody hasn't been up there, there were 3 big washouts between us and Beulah. All of them on the Public County side. Actually, we're pretty fortunate that we didn't have any significant damage here in the Wetmore area and through the fire scar. And quite honestly, I'd like to give kudos to the road and bridge folks because they did a lot of work ahead of time with culverts and drainage, potential drainage issues that I think paid dividends for us. We still have some debris issues because we haven't had, water like this in a while. So we have some debris and culverts and stuff that it's hard to prevent. And the crews, especially Larry and Kevin and the guys down here and Gary, worked late into the night, making sure that those culverts stayed clear and did a lot of prevention. I spent a considerable amount of time in Pueblo County, what was it, Thursday, and their road crews did not do what our road crews did, and they had significant issues. Now, some of those they could have prevented, but our road crews spent some time in Pueblo County on Thursday cleaning out their culverts that have not been cleaned out in eons, a long time. So Pueblo, their road crews, and I'm not trying to throw them under the bus, but they did not do the work ahead of time that ours did. Granted, they're a bigger county, they've got a lot more access points and such. But anyways, so there's 3 big blowouts on 387 on the Pueblo County side. From emergency and first responder standpoint, we're covering Pueblo County all the way to just this side of the 5-mile marker on 387 over the top and down for any law enforcement, fire, and EMS services. We're responding there because Pueblo County can't get to them. On the lowest end, on the Beulah side, they did get 1 culvert and road crossing patched up so that there's 1 lane travel across that blowout into the second one, so that they've increased some access for some residents there. There's a lot of road damage where the banks eroded underneath the asphalt, and so they're not even working on blowouts, they're working on road, trying to build up and bring in lots and lots of material to recompact and build those banks back up. Then they'll get to the next culvert. They're hoping to get to the next culvert today so that they can begin working on that tomorrow. But if anybody's going to Beulah, whatever, don't plan on using 387 this week. But I would anticipate the big blowout is the one on the upper end, which is the first one you would see if you go down there, if you've been there. So it's 35 feet wide. There's a 6-foot culvert that is completely gone. It washed out about 400 yards down the creek. This is a routine area that's been flooding out for Pueblo County for a while. They're still waiting on FEMA dollars from all the way back in the Mason Gulch fire to be able to repair that road correctly. It really needs a bridge instead of the culvert because it's obvious that this is, I think, the second or third time that culvert's washed out now since the Mason Gulch fire. So anyway, so that's where we're at there. We're supposed to get a little bit of rain tonight, and then tomorrow there's a much better chance of rain, but I don't think it's going to be significant. So I think we're in pretty good shape right now. but as Larry Haynes jokingly says, all it takes is the big one. He calls it the big one. And we all know what that, a couple inches of rain in 2 hours and we would be in trouble. But we fared it pretty well, and I think that all goes to the road and bridge guys for keeping debris and keeping everything cleaned out, so that at least the capability to drain water that we have is working effectively. So that's a good sign. So with that rain, the fire dangers are lower than, which they typically would be, which we're all happy with. That's a great thing. We did have one small fire above Alvarado Campground in the Sangres over the Friday and Saturday, but fortunately some hikers were up there and saw it and reported it, and we got on it pretty quick, and then the Forest Service came in and put it out, and it was directly attributed to a controlled burn that they had done, and it just wasn't snuffed out all the way and just kicked up in the winds. So that's kind of the status there with that, but we'll just keep our fingers crossed we don't get a ton of rain at one time, but we did pretty good, and if you see those guys working on Road and Bridge, tell them thanks, because they did a really nice job.
Thank you, Shannon. On my way down this morning, I was stopped for some time because of the work by CDOT.
Yeah.
Do we know what that project is that they're going to do?
Yeah, they're just repaving, so I was right behind you, I was stuck as well, but I didn't know about it. But yeah, they're just doing paving, so that a stretch of 96 from about the 9-mile marker to that would be about 11. They're just repaving because it's in terrible shape.
Well, just wondering, because a while back, Bob had reported that he had spoke to somebody at CDOT for the double lines in the Wetmore area.
Yeah, that's done.
So I just wanted to say that is done, so we're
probably
good.
We're going to be talking to them about another stretch of trying to put some double yellow line in as well.
Okay.
And as I explained to Ann, that was like moving mountains. The CDOT responded so quickly to our request to do some modifications to the highway, because typically, with the state, if you're going to do something with the highway, they have to form a committee to delegate a committee that's going to plan a research group to find an engineer who's going to then report to a committee. I mean, that's how long it takes. So this happened. I was shocked. I still can't believe it.
Stunned.
So while we're on a
Okay.
roll, we're going to try for one more, and
Great.
we'll see what happens.
Okay, thank you. Why don't we just take a 5-minute recess while we're waiting for the other two people to show up to give their reports? Yep. Right. I'd like to resume, come out of recess and back into session. And we now have Cindy. So Cindy, I don't know, do you need to join us at the table? How's your dad?
He's home.
Good.
So I hope he can stay there for a long time. We'll see how it goes. Stressed. He tried to break out from the night, so he got down to the front door at 2 a.m. and he got stopped by 3 people. So I pretty much gave you my report during the workshop. I thought I could just use this time to bring you up to date on a couple
Okay,
things.
that's fine.
One, the independent contractor agreement is just for Meredith. She's going to start on Monday, and Clint took a look at that, so we're good. It's just a tweak of the one for Beverly, so the format's the same.
Do you need a signature?
Unless you have a problem, I'm just going to sign and have Kelly attest it. The difference on this one is Meredith, if we do activate the EOC and have an event, she wants to be able to volunteer, so I put one sentence in there that she's allowed to also volunteer for the county.
Good.
And then if I can work it out on the CWPP side, then there might be some extra funding. She's basically available through December. She's going to go to graduate school in January, and she just got her bachelor's degree last weekend, I believe.
She sounds like she's going to be a wonderful assistant.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to having her back.
So she's your assistant, Cindy?
She's an intern.
Oh, intern.
Yeah. Yes, she volunteered with me
She's
last
the
summer.
same one that was here last year.
Meredith Nichols. Yeah. And then on the PILT funding, the forestry development contract for the CWPP, That is drafted for me to sign on that contract, and I don't know if you want to change that, or you want to give me authority to sign, or if you had any concerns about the scheduled payments there.
Did Clint see this?
I looked at it and it looks fine. It should be motioned by you authorizing her to sign this.
Let's just, for everybody's benefit, where will the funding come from this?
The funding is from PILT funds, and the public notice was published, and then the reporting after we're spent will be followed up on per the federal guidelines.
I didn't have any issues with, since we obviously have the funding to do it, so
Okay.
not an issue. I also don't have any issue with authoring you signing this.
And, you know, the timeline is basically we're running between Memorial Day and Labor Day because so many of these people are second homeowners, so.
I'll go ahead and make a motion that we authorize C.B. Howard of the Office of Emergency Management to sign the contract with Forestry Development LLC as presented.
I'll second that motion. Any other comments, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. So, and you weren't here when our sheriff was giving us an update on what a great job our road and bridges had done compared to Pueblo. So kudos
Yeah.
to everybody involved.
Yeah, we got lucky. We dodged a bullet on that one, I think.
We also planned ahead a little bit and luck, so it was a combination, and
Yeah.
kudos to the people who did the job.
Yeah, no, they did a great job. And I am just about ready to start working on that plan. I've actually been through Pueblo's plan, and it's a good plan that can be tweaked for our needs. In fact, I think anybody in the region can use it and tweak it, so
Good.
I'll be working on that next.
Good.
And I was out in the field this morning with Custer and Coco, their forester, and Jonathan Bruno, and so we're working on that $15,000 of PILT funding to be spent on fuels reduction down here. And we've got a mailing going out for the 319 grant, so I think we're going to put some information in that same mailing. What they're hoping to do is ask homeowners to match funds to come in and reduce fuels around the homes. And that, if they would do a 50% match, that would double our funding to $30,000. So that's what
That's great.
I'll go back out and meet them.
Well, I do want to commend you, and I want to thank Christy for that workshop. I know it was intense. You gave how many hours of information to us? It's just amazing what you're doing, and I want to thank you.
I appreciate it. Yesterday we had our resource mobilization drill, and we had 17 from Custer County participate, 3 out of county emergency managers and 5 from the state. And so they, I think the state was very pleased with how that went. And that was that was a grant requirement on my part, so I was really, really pleased that we had 17
Good.
people show up.
Good.
That was good. I think the other big news is the letter went in. Jay came to the recovery meeting last Thursday, and I want to thank you for being there because while everybody was in responder mode dealing with the flood, and of course Pueblo couldn't come at all, we still had to go on with that recovery meeting, and it was the time to tell the state, I told you so. So I think the timing was important to keep that meeting going. The letter went into Kevin Klein last Thursday. It also was copied to the governor's office, and it said if Kevin hasn't done anything by tomorrow, that they're going to take it up straight up to the governor. So I expect some sort of action. Maybe by the close of business today, we'll see. But I have heard through the rumor mill that there's some gears grinding in Denver, so we're cautiously optimistic on that front. So
I know that was a lot of hard work on your end,
it's
so
a lot
thank
of
you.
pulling it together. And I talked to Donna yesterday about taking a couple days comp time and just shutting
No
down
way.
tomorrow,
What are
Friday.
you talking about?
You deserve it
Sometime.
and need it, and I'm
Okay.
Okay,
happy you're doing
I
it.
appreciate it. Okay, anything else, Fern?
Nope. Just
Okay.
keep us posted.
Did you set a workshop on that wireless?
No,
Okay.
Chuck is gonna contact the group first
Okay.
But I want you to think what I mentioned was we had a lot of unanswered questions.
Okay.
And I know the sheriff's department that's an immediate response we're trying to get. But there
Okay.
are some loose ends, so we want to come up with questions to have them answer if they can't be present at our workshop.
Okay. I just wanted to know
So
if I needed anything
we'll
on my
be-
calendar now.
So if you're going to we wouldn't be doing this probably until 2 weeks.
Okay.
Just to give them time to answer those questions. So if you're going
Okay.
to take off now, that's great. So,
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks again. Okay.
Anybody else?
I think I saw Gary come in.
Gary's back there. And Brad.
Yep.
Bring your own chairs.
Yep.
BYOC.
We're gonna have to do, this room is big enough. I mean, couldn't hear anything you said you guys were talking about.
we're gonna need speakers.
Microphones.
Speakers and the microphones.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll set up.
It's hard.
No, with a bigger room, it's just hard. I mean, a lot of the conversations I can only imagine.
Thank you. We'll definitely work on that. Good morning. Good morning. It's still morning, thank God. Okay. All right. How are you?
Pretty good. The reason I wanted to visit with you folks is Rusty's got that scraper rented out here for us. And we've got a bunch of overburden topsoil that we're gonna have to remove for an area that we're gonna make some gravel eventually.
Folks,
We can't hear ourselves.
A little soft spoken up here.
Speak louder, too.
But anyway, we've got an area where we're gonna have to remove some topsoil, and it's quite a bit of that stuff. And for us to remove that, typically what we do is take several pieces of equipment, several guys to remove that topsoil so that we could excavate that area and make gravel. But since Rusty's got a scraper over this landfill, we could probably utilize that piece of machinery to do that with. And instead of,
But when he rented that especially, right?
yeah, he rented it to bid or dig that new cell over there at the landfill.
Right.
But since it's right next door to where we've got our gravel pit, we could road that thing a couple hundred yards.
Okay.
And if Rusty's got any time left on his contract on that, it wouldn't cost us anything to use it, which at this point, it's hard to say if he will or not. But anyway, if we could rent that thing for about a week, we could remove a lot of that topsoil and get that pit ready to start making gravel. And it would, I think it'd be more cost efficient to rent that scraper versus.
While it's up here.
Yeah, while it's up here. And then also, instead of having 2 or 3 guys, and possibly even 4 over there working on that pit to remove that topsoil, we just have one guy in the scraper and that'd be it, so.
Was there a condition in the rental on who would be operating it?
No,
Okay.
no.
Okay.
I looked at his rental agreement yesterday and I didn't see anything like that anyway,
Okay.
so.
Was he optimistic that he'd have some time left on it?
He might have a few days. It's really hard to say at this point. He thought he might, but
Okay.
that might not be the case. Now, if we ended up renting it, Rusty got a pretty good rate on it. It's simply because he rented it for 4 weeks. We don't need it for 4 weeks, so we only need it for a week. So our rate would be $62.50 for a week for 40 hours. So that's what I want to do.
Sooner than later, right? While it's up here. Sooner than later while it's up here.
Well, yeah, if we didn't rent it while it was here, we probably wouldn't rent it later because there's a transportation charge on top of that. And by the time you pay that, it's a lot more appealing right now since the machine's here and that charge has already been paid for.
Could Rusty extend his contract at the rate he's got?
I was hoping we could, but
They won't let it.
Wagner wouldn't do that.
Okay, so did you get a formal quote then for a week from them?
It was $62.50 plus or minus a couple $100. It's right around that.
Okay.
It's not a set amount, but it's right around that. Yeah, that's what I was hoping to do, is just extend that contract and get that better rate, because his rate is, for 4 weeks, it's $18,000, $4,500 a week. But I gave up after a while. They wouldn't buy into it.
and by you renting it, you'd have either 3 or 4 of your men would be available to do other things to offset the cost of it.
Yeah. Plus the machinery that would be involved versus using a scraper, the dollar amount's gonna exceed what we're having to pay per hour for this scraper, most
I
likely.
think you're thinking absolutely correctly. I mean, it's going to save time, going to save money, and we're going to use someone else's equipment. Certainly makes sense to me.
Yeah. And the reason I needed to talk to you folks about it today is his contract expires at the end of the month. And we didn't have another regularly scheduled meeting until,
Okay.
and I didn't want to lose the opportunity to be able to.
I appreciate it.
And just want to make it, so is this coming out of your budgeted items?
It's not actually a budgeted item. We don't have a line item for this to pay for it, but
Rental equipment?
we don't
You
even,
don't have that? So where are you going to pull it from?
we'll just have to pull it from another line item, and then at the end of the year, we should have a surplus, is what I talked to Donna about.
Okay, so you have talked to Donna?
Yeah, I have
Okay.
talked to Donna about it. We're thinking the money's going to be there.
Okay.
Because we're, based on where we're at as far as how much we've spent out of Road and Bridge right now, we're behind on what we budgeted for fuel.
Okay.
We're going to have a surplus there most likely at the end of the year. So there's other areas that are going to be able to afford to pay for this. It might not be a line item that's actually budgeted
Okay.
for this. But
Maybe for next year, we put one in just in case you need something.
I
like
think it'd be a
this.
good idea.
Yeah.
I think there should be a miscellaneous
Right.
line item for the same things like this that come up that were unexpected. That's what I'd like to do.
Well, I don't have any issue with the request.
I think it's fine.
Okay.
I don't think we need a motion or anything on it. I think you got the okay.
Go for it.
You weren't here. Some comments were made about culverts in Pueblo and culverts up here and how prepared we were for that and how unprepared they were. And we were commenting and complimenting Road and Bridge for the excellent job you did. I just want to make sure you got that information.
Yep.
We were
Actually,
commending you.
our sheriff is the one that gave you kudos for your hard
I
work.
owe you one then. Thank you.
It's true. So, yeah,
I've
we
heard
were
this.
more prepared than Pueblo.
Yeah, I'd heard that. In fact, we ended up helping Pueblo with some of our equipment, which I think is perfectly great because they come around the other foot.
I
But
agree.
it's great that we were prepared and ready, and that's just excellent work on your part, both of you.
Well, we appreciate hearing that.
Yeah, we do.
Well, thank you for your
What's
hard
going
work.
on?
Now I'm talking about flooding and,
Yep.
I spoke too soon.
yeah.
Ophir Creek. We're under a maintenance agreement with the Forestry Commission to do like just an annual blading on that road. And it's got some water damage from these rains and snow that we've gotten lately. And these are just a few pictures of that. It's my understanding, Roger talked to the individual with the Forestry Service, and they're checking into some funds to be able to correct these situations. And they're-
What road is this? I'm sorry.
it's-
Ophir Creek.
Yeah, it's just this
Okay.
side of
It's
Bishop's
a
Castle.
forest
Okay.
Forest Service road.
Right.
So we do have a forest maintenance contract with them and basically just cover maintenance of the road,
To
culvert
me-
cleaning.
Yeah, to me, this exceeds maintenance.
I was going to say,
That-
what the heck are you going to do to fix
And
that?
this gentleman that sent me all that information, we had some, I had some of these printed up for you.
And you guys can have this one too if you want.
He sent me that, he looked at this yesterday, gave me a call and gave me some estimates. And this is just in probably a 1.5 mile radius. And that's just up from 165. The one to the left goes to Ophir Creek Campground. This mostly is right in front of a private residence that's just off of that road that does go up to the campground. That's pretty much major type stuff there. On up toward the Boy Scout camp, there is several other areas concerning the whole road. You cannot get, once you turn left, where you turn left to go to the Ophir Creek, on the Ophir Creek Road, or right to go to the Boy Scout or the Boys Camp road, that whole area is washed. And it looks to me like once you start past the locked gate, there's a locked gate that they lock every winter. It looks to me like there's a whole bunch of trees down in the road. So,
And I think Gary and I will go look at the backside. We'll go look down here low, and then we'll go around and come in the backside and see what we got on the backside. But they're in the process, this Jamie Skay,
It's hard to pronounce his last
Jane.
name. Good luck with that one.
State, yeah. He's in the process of putting a disaster declaration together for this area.
So we didn't have to look at that bottom line that I just saw on the second page, is what you're telling me?
I hope not. We shouldn't.
We've had minor damage on this particular road in the past, and it's been minor enough that we've taken care of it ourselves, but this is,
Yeah, I didn't know
That's
that.
above our means.
That's the first time I heard that.
yeah, I hope that they can find the resources to be able to take care of this without us having to get involved.
So he's looking to try to get a bunch of this done. And hopefully they'll turn it out to private contractors.
Like, do you have a period of time we're looking at or no? That he's trying to
You
get
know,
this done.
I'm gonna get a hold of Jamie again, and him and I'll conversate a little more on exactly where they're headed, what he's found out, if he got that declaration, if that means that the county will be liable to do a little bit of work just under our contract with them, or if it'll all be under
Okay.
a disaster declaration. Chances are, under the disaster declaration, it would be, they would bring private contractors in.
Get it done.
Yeah, this was way
We'll-
beyond general.
but I'll
maintenance,
find out.
Culvert cleaning.
Okay.
I agree, that's what I'm thinking too.
Yeah,
You can see overlooking the.
And if you just got this, then you're
That's the
telling us
road,
that
and
if
Bob
any of
hasn't
you
seen
know
any of this.
Ophir
No, I
Creek,
just got this.
that's
received.
that's right there in front of Herrera's
I know he's
driveway.
back up in Colorado Springs today.
That's what we assume.
So I'm just not sure if he's back tomorrow, but you probably want to.
Basically, well, we're gonna start seeing a lot of increased traffic right down the road here pretty quick. By Memorial Day weekend.
There is no road.
I would.
Yeah, there is no road. Yeah,
I bet it's
hopefully,
gonna be closed.
they
Yeah,
do
there's
have
gonna be a
a
little
sign up.
gate if that's the case.
Yeah, it's
Someplace
gonna be
they got
closed for a
a
while,
sign.
yeah.
Road closed sign. I saw it in one of the pictures.
They'll just get a ton of, the Forest Services, they're gonna get a ton of pressure from the public and they will hold up the pressure real well.
Well, they're making it sound like they don't have the funds to just go out on their own and get this taken care of, so.
The Forest Service.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a trees down all over the
Yeah,
place.
that's what they're saying. So it's up to them. I mean,
Well, thanks for the warning and the information.
As I talk to Jamie, I'll keep you guys.
Okay,
Gary
keep
and
us in
I'll
the
keep you guys abreast of what's going on.
Okay, great. All right, thank you again, and kudos for what you've done and continue to do. Thank you.
I guess as they say in the old country, it's what we do.
Yep.
Yeah, but you do it well.
just leave these here, is that all right?
What, the
Chairs.
chairs? Okay. All right, so I don't see anything else on the agenda. Jax?
I do have a question. Over the last month or so, you've talked about invitations to the open house for this building. And so I've had a couple questions from the public saying, so is it an invitation-only deal? Are the people of Wetmore going to get to come to the open house? Is it open to the public?
Yeah, we're a little premature with putting that out in the papers right now, but we do have an individual invitation list that Brenda has, and that is our grantors, our officials from the governor down, and certain individuals that did help. But of course, we're looking at an open house for our community to visit, but we haven't put it out there yet, other than an invitation list, and I don't know if you've gotten everybody, all the other commissioners.
I believe so.
Okay.
So it's
June 21. June 21 here.
question.
Yeah.
It's an invitation to individuals, but then it's open to anybody else who would like to attend. They're welcome to come.
Yeah, I think the invitation list is we'd like to especially invite those people because they contributed towards the remodel, but it is open to everybody.
Right. And I know, like, for instance, Christy Dune can't be present, but she has a plaque that she wants to give to us that day too. So I think it was in a meeting we established that it would be from like 2 to 6 that day.
And the Sentinel's catering
Okay, the Sentinel what?
is catering it.
Oh, nice. No, I personally am catering and Kraft macaroni and cheese as far as you can see.
It was just
That's what I
levity.
know how to make.
It was just levity. I was just trying to.
So I think our goal was to get the personalized invitations out a month ahead of time. So yes. And then we'll be putting a notice out.
Okay, there was some confusion.
Are we good?
I believe so.
Okay. Any other comments?
You mentioned earlier, at the beginning of the meeting that you're going to have a budget training meeting with CTSI.
Mm-hmm.
Is that, so what does that encompass?
That's going to encompass the elected officials of our county, and he's going to come down and give a training so that it's going to help everybody, including the commissioners, prepare before we actually do our budgets.
So is he going to train to our highly antiquated budgeting program that we use then? Is that what he's
Kinda.
training us to? 'Cause-
Yeah, he's going to bring us up to speed.
So we're getting a new budget program, is that what you're telling me?
Not a new budget program, just helping everybody. No, not software, no. We, to my knowledge, according to Dennis Hunt, he has not been down here to do any training with regards to budget. And I, along with our other county commissioners, really appreciate his expertise in training. So I'm just going to say it's going to be beneficial for the elected officials to attend this if they can, and that's just going to help your process as we come across the table with each other. Okay? So, yes, Cal?
On the employee evaluations you were talking about, so on and so forth, are they going to be behaviorally anchored, or are they going to be?
We actually have a form, okay, that we're going to provide at this workshop, okay? Because they have not been given in the past, Cal, what we're going to talk about probably is doing all evaluations at one time a year, because everybody comes in different times of the year, so they're going to have an introductory period according to their job description. So some people may have 2 in a year, depending on when they came in. But we want to get the employees back on track because the original policy stated that those were supposed to happen, and they have not. So we're just bringing everybody up to speed with where they need to be. And that will also help in the budgeting process. So we're looking to have those evaluations before the end of the year.
I know a lot of public employees are based on their performance plus behavioral. They're behaviorally anchored, but they're on their performance too, with the behavioral anchored.
The evaluations are multiple pages. There's also a goal part of that. So we're going to be looking at, are you achieving your goals that were stated? So there's a lot of good stuff in the evaluation. And it's a tool. It's a tool. Any other comments? Okay.
How wonderful to have our first meeting here
Yes.
with noise in the background and water on the floor where we have a little leak and whatever else. Thank you for putting up with it, and it's just thrilled to finally get to use our building after all this time. So thanks to the people of Wetmore who have toiled so hard, aside from our contractors, have volunteered and have done an enormous amount of work. So thank you to all the Wetmore folks, those who helped and those who just live here, and we really appreciate everything you folks have done to make this good.
Okay, so I'm going to move that we adjourn.
I'll second it. Let's
Okay,
go.
thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you.
So Brenda, do you need signatures?
Chuck, and some kind of microphone speaker system. We really need it. Gary